What if everything you've been told about self-improvement is actually making your life worse? We've constructed a massive industry based on the idea that we're inherently flawed, relentlessly repairing ourselves as if we're defective instruments. However, here's the shocking truth. The fundamental assumption that you require repair is what's truly damaged. Imagine a sea wave suddenly becoming conscious and worrying, because it's not solid like a stone, because it perpetually alters structure. The wave would seek to correct itself and become more solid. How ludicrous would that be? Yet, this is exactly the way we humans function daily. The wave is already flawless in its nature, yet we brainwash ourselves into believing we're faulty missions needing perpetual restoration. We've been handed a backward narrative. You hold difficulties needing answers, aspects requiring improvement. And if you try hard enough, find the right method, you can finally fix yourself and become who you're supposed to be. This story is so integrated into our civilization that we barely examine it. We acknowledge our role as endless endeavors in development. But what if this core belief is wholly upside down? Here's something controversial. You were never incomplete, never a problem needing solution. The only thing requiring repair is the belief that you need repairing. Reflect on nature. When you regard a tree, you don't critique its branches as inadequate. The tree is splendid precisely as it appears. It develops and reacts to its surroundings, but doesn't organize summits about personal growth. We humans have created this faculty to become our own reviewers and directors. We peer in the mirror and notice a repair project demanding work. Trees educate themselves also, identifying which route to grow toward radiance, how to anchor roots deeper underground. Yet trees don't agonize over insufficient stature. They respond naturally to what life presents. The difference is trees trust their nature, while we've been programmed to mistrust ours. We've been taught to consider our impulses unreliable, our answers likely faulty. Therefore, we form an inner supervisor scrutinizing everything we perform. Am I efficient enough? Am I evolving at the correct rate? It's wearying, like possessing a nitpicking supervisor in your head, endlessly finding you wanting. However, this overseer isn't who you are. It's taken in appraisals, acquired benchmarks from parents, instructors, and civilization. You've adopted a tribunal, making you feel continuously inadequate. But who witnesses this counsel? Who witnesses these evaluations? Something within you watches this show without being consumed. That aspect is who you genuinely are. You're not the beliefs about yourself. You are the consciousness, wherein all this appears like meteorological patterns through the atmosphere. The sky is never harmed by atmospheric conditions. Storms appear and vanish, yet the sky stays expansive. In the same way, notions of inadequacy appear and vanish, yet your essence stays unaffected. You can modify and progress without the story that you're fundamentally broken. Watch children learning to walk. They collapse frequently. Do they build stories about being inadequate? Never. They get up and try again because walking looks fun. Learning emerges naturally, spontaneously, without self-critique. There are two approaches to change. One presumes you're damaged, like a mechanic correcting a defective motor. The other acknowledges you're already complete, like a gardener believing in organic development. The mechanic struggles while the gardener works in harmony with life. Most growth strategies are machine-like. We approach ourselves like machines needing upgraded programming. However, what if you're more like a garden holding inherent wisdom? When you rely on this intelligence, you cease combating yourself. Instead of compelling yourself into structures, you permit your form to surface. When you finish fighting against yourself, you release tremendous energy for life. Ponder how much energy you consume judging yourself. Imagine if that force were usable for being here now. The individual who realizes they're intact focuses power on expression and finding. Here's something unexpected. When you cease trying to repair yourself, Problems you thought required repair frequently solve themselves. When you discontinue creating self-criticism, your lucidity stabilizes. Much of what we assume is wrong comes from trying to correct what was never flawed. You might think you have an anxiety problem and apply approaches to fix it. Yet this effort births more anxiety. What if experiencing anxiety sometimes is completely fine? When you cease treating anxiety as an issue, it frequently fades organically. We've been conditioned to believe we should have specific feelings: joyful, assured, serene. Yet feelings are the climate of awareness. Sometimes tumultuous, sometimes calm. This isn't a problem. This same concept applies to character features we see as defects. Perhaps you're reserved in a society celebrating extroversion. Instead of changing these aspects, recognize them as your unique contribution. Oak trees don't attempt to become pine trees. Rivers don't express remorse for not being mountains. When you receive your nature entirely, something fantastic emerges. You see squandering vitality, pretending to be what you aren't. This doesn't imply you never evolve, but learning comes from curiosity rather than inadequacy. You learn because development is pleasurable. Children don't work on imagination. They just create naturally and easily. We've been taught to doubt innate wisdom. We've converted our inner world into a company with assessments. However, your authentic nature persists, waiting for you to realize you were never incomplete to begin with. Here's an apparent contradiction. The more you try to improve yourself, the more you confirm that you require enhancement. Yet, when you realize you were never damaged, enhancement takes place organically, easily. When you have faith in your being, growth takes place like blooms emerging gorgeously in their natural timing. This isn't apathy, but belief in the wisdom that animates your heart. So here's a challenge. Engage in an experiment. For a single day, end trying to correct yourself. See that day as a gift to be opened. Welcome emotions without adjusting them. Notice thoughts without judging. Treat yourself like a trusted friend with compassion, tolerance, and levity. You may discover you're perfect just as you are. This is the mystery. You were never incomplete. You're already full, already entire, already enough. You're not isolated from life. You are existence manifesting as a human, and life is a dance of joy. We're all ripples on the same ocean, each special, each whole, each ephemeral. When you perceive this as actual experience, you can finally sink into being who you are. Your real self is more beautiful than your conceived ideal. You don't require becoming more like existence because you are existence pretending to be you. The wave is the ocean playing at being a wave. If this teaching reached you deeply, I cordially invite you to subscribe to the channel. Follow for more material that interrogates conventional wisdom about personal development and self-improvement, and post a comment below with the word whole to tell me you're ready to welcome your whole, undamaged nature exactly as you are at this moment.